Hey folks, well I figured it's time to get a start on my rebuild of my quadcopter using this 450 frame from Hobby King. You can see I got it all bolted together, and I've got the hubs here for the motors, because the hubs actually come off the bottom of these motors. They just held on with set screws. Now I was thinking, well, maybe these hubs will fit in here, but they're sloppy. Would have been nice if they fit in tight. Would have fit in tight, and I could have just mounted them without the mount on there. But it is what it is. Now, the problem I have is these holes are like in sets of threes, 3, 3, and 3, the way they're spaced. But the holes on the arm are completely adjacent, because they're meant for a motor like this. I'll show you. This is more of the style of motor that these frames are usually built using. Not necessarily this exact motor, but you can see if you look here, you can see it's just got frame or holes straight across. And let me see if I can do on. That's not going to work. Sorry. But just trust me, I say if you do it on the back side here, this thing would bolt right up. No, I didn't have another 40, 45 bucks to spend when I have perfectly good motors. So, I'm going to see if, oh, this one's bent. See if there's a way I can make these hubs work. These mounting hubs. First thing I'm going to do, if you can see that. Probably can't because my fingers are in the way. But this is bent in from one of the crash I had. That was when I crashed into the house. Almost took my wife's head off. She ducked fast, that's for sure. So I'll have to fix that one after. So, the way I figured I could do, there's not enough meat on these hubs to drill new holes, so it's going to have to be somehow drill holes on the arm. So I figured I could key it off of one. Well, I might be able to get 2 screws in there. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. There we go. I could use 2 screws like that. They're not going to be perfect. You can see it's a little bit off kilter. Unless I just had a thought here. What if I drill this out big enough so that the hub will fit in that way? And then, let's see, these wires are a little bit tight, but I might be able to drop this in that way. And it might work. Only problem is the set screws are supposed to land in this ridge here, but it wouldn't land that way. But I could always drill out just a little bit on this part in order to have the set screw fit better. And then, nope, come on off. Well, of course, she won't come off now. So maybe if I were to do that, it would make it a little more low profile. And if I'd have to put these grub screws sideways, I could get to them. And I might be able to throw just 2 screws in down here and here. Or yeah, sorry, I'm thinking as I go here. I'm not sure which way is going to be better. If I do it this way, these holes line up. There's enough play in there that I could drill through the arm in here and mount a third one. And as long as I make them all that same offset, so it gets fairly close in line with the arm if I do it that way. And then make them all that same way, so they'll be slightly askew on the arm, but not too bad, and I'm not damaging the frame in such a way that if I do get some different motors, I can still use the existing holes. See, I could do it either way, right? And it would work out okay. So let's give that a go. I'm going to do that off camera and we'll see if it works out. Well, a slight change of plan as I was looking at it. Here's what I come up with. I ended up using some 4mm screws, and I used one existing hole and I drilled one hole, and that's, even though I didn't bother with a nut on the back side, plenty of beef in there, plenty of beef on there to hold that together, so that's not pulling off anytime soon. So I'll just show you here. I think that's the bent one. Get them all the same way, so I just line that hole up there, thread a screw in, and then drill the other side. I didn't even have to open these holes up or anything. Oh, I guess I should show you on camera. I gotta get used to it. I haven't done a video like on the bench like this in a long time, so pay attention to what I'm doing with the camera. So I think it's oriented like that, same as the other one, yep. And then just feed the screw in. It takes a second to get started, but it kind of cuts its own threads. You can probably hear it on video as it's going in. I had some grease, or I think a lot of times you put soap on it and it helps them go in easier. You get that one, and because they're countersink, they kind of fit right into the hole of the hub and hold them pretty secure. My ugly head in the way as I tighten it. I'm using this hole on the inside. I don't know if you can see it from there. To try to get it centered on the outside. So that looks pretty good. Take the trusty drill and get it centered as good as possible. And drill a hole. Yeah, she's a little cattywampus, but whatever. It's a little to the inside, so the screw is going to be tilted a little bit over. And take another screw and do the same. So I'm going to get all these hubs mounted, and from there I'll decide if I'm going to do any more video. So just hold tight. Alright, I got all 4 mounted, all in the same orientation, so they're a little bit offset. I think that'll work out just fine. It's definitely not going to pull them off. I was thinking as I was mounting this up and holding the frames, like, man, this frame isn't that heavy. So I'm curious. I went and grabbed my scale. I don't know if you'll be able to see with the reflection of the light. Probably not. Maybe if it's upside down, or maybe... Oh! You get a glare. I'm going to put her sideways, just so you can see. I'm just going to measure this frame up. Let's see. Tear, mode, ounce, grams, kilograms. I'm in Canada, so I'm going to measure in grams. I think this is good to 1 gram, or is it 5 grams? I can't remember. Be good enough to get an idea, so let's throw that on there. 305 grams is what the frame weighs with those hubs on. Not sure if that's good or if that's bad. But just out of curiosity, here's my gutted frame. I can already tell how this thing weighs, how much more. 700 grams. So I've split my weight in half, which is going to make this. I always found the Quadcopter kind of sluggish with my homebrew frame. And there you go, that shows why. Pretty sweet weight savings. And yeah, this might be a little bit less strength, but good enough. So now, I'm not going to put the motors on, but they'll all sit in there nice. Just like so. Let me just check something. Pretty sure this is the same, yeah, plenty of room. Look at that. It's going to work great. Don't know why I wasted my time with that frame before. I should have just bought one and been done with it, but whatever. It is what it is. So now the next step is maybe seeing about mounting. I'm just curious to see how the KK board goes on. It's obviously meant to mount on the bottom. It's not meant to mount up here. So I'm not sure. It's kind of strange how this frame is made. Not sure what their intentions were, but I'm going to take these top screws back off and we'll take a look and see how that KK is going to mount. KK 2.0 is going to mount. Alright, that's off. Not sure, these ports might be actually useful for reaching through and pressing buttons, but then I was thinking too, it'd be interesting to replace, if I had the battery mounted underneath, replace this board with a clear piece of plexiglass. And you'd use this, and that way you could see right through and see your screen and so on. But got the KK board right here, and let's just see. Yeah, you can see how it's meant to bolt right into those slots, like so. So I'm going to bolt it in there. I'll probably use my standoffs as well. And then this goes on top. I guess you can see through the port and reach in through here just fine to press the buttons and whatnot. So that'll work alright. So these should fit through. A little bit stiff. A little bit stiff. Being interesting. These are 3mm screws, and they're a little bit stiff too, so I might have to actually file those out a little bit in order to get the standoffs in place. Look in here. File the ends and mount the standoffs with some nuts. And then see where everything else can fit. So I'm going to do some filing and then we'll get that mounted up and take a look at the next step. This is actually going fairly quickly. I'm happy so far. Well, I got the KK 2.0 mounted up good, but I see I'm going to have to do a little bit of a rearrangement. So I've got the receiver here, and these are the receiver pins. So I'd like to mount the receiver close as possible, make a nice clean appearance, but if I mount it here, it's going to cover up my power connections for the battery. So that means I will have to spin the KK around, because this is forward and I want red. Maybe I'll have my white arms forward. That might actually make more sense. All I gotta do is spin the KK 2.0 around, and then that way I can mount the receiver over on this side. It'll clear all my connections and be nice and tight in there, and I can run a wire down up underneath and in the arm, keep it out of the way. So that'll work good. As well, the battery, I'd like to mount it underneath. I've got some carbon fiber. I can extend these feet a little bit, but the issue I see is most of the batteries I use are 2200. Let me show you here. Got a couple of them, like this guy right here. Now normally you could use these as your battery strap holders, but it's not going to work because it doesn't reach. Fits nice in between there. So I'll have to come up with a solution for that, but I'm not too worried about that. We'll figure something out. Maybe I can run a long length of Velcro under the KK board all the way around and wrap it, and then put another strip of Velcro in here to stick it, and then wrap it and hold it, and that'll keep it happy. And then the wires can come, I'll have to maybe extend them, but come around and in through that hole and connect up to a battery connector. So don't worry about that when the time comes. So now I'm looking at the speed controllers. Now I wanted to mount these up underneath, but I modified these so that the bullet connectors are right on the board instead of wires, which will pose a problem because the wires on these motors are pretty short. So I got a couple options. One is, well, maybe if I stick the motor wires down through the frame, yeah, see, down through the frame, see, they're not even close to being long enough. So I got two options. One is to just mount this on top, which might be a good idea because then it's going to get prop wash and keep it nice and cool. But I kind of think it'd be more protected underneath and it would look better because then the wiring is all nice and neat, and see, these could drop down like so and solder in. But if I mount this in the bottom, all the wiring is kind of hidden and then it'll go straight through. But in order to do that, I'll have to cut all these open. Pretty sure I still have lots of heat shrink for them. And then put wires coming out again with the proper bullet connectors, or put the bullet connectors on the wires so that they can come up and through the arm and hit the motor wires. So I really think that's probably the better route to take because it'll keep the top all nice and clean and keep the wiring all nice and clean. So that's what I'll have to do in the next step. So, and then as well, then I'll just have to cut these, get rid of these bullet connectors, and there's going to be enough length I can zip mount them straight onto the printed circuit boards. So that'll be the next step. So I will probably not do that tonight because it's getting a little bit late and I'm a little bit tired. So I'm going to end this video here, and when I come back it'll be time to get these wired up and get the battery connectors soldered on, and it'll be darn close to running condition at that point. So it's going to go quite quick. In any case, until then, take care and talk to you later.